I hear more and more commonly as time goes on that the iconography of our history, the statues, the paintings, the buildings, the flags, and the texts, they must be removed or taken down because they could offend someone. In the case of a university in my home state, they are taking down paintings of the state's colonization to keep the possibility of Native American descendant students from being offended. There is nothing violent about these paintings. They depict no war. Settlement and building and canoeing. Now in this case, there was no complaint from a Native American student or student body. Once again, it was political correctness. People being offended for another group of people without talking or listening to them. Kind of like government. Maybe it's racist of me, but I would assume that someone of Native American heritage that still had a stake in their heritage would be of a maturity, of a mental toughness that anything less than an outright physical attack or theft would not offend them. After all, they are still here, and they are part of our society. They are Americans, the first Americans. Unlike African Americans, unlike European Americans, unlike Mexican Americans, these are multi-generational American Americans, and this history is more theirs than anyone else's. To strike it down for fear that it might offend them is childlike. You might as well take their language and their names too. We had a debacle a while back with the Confederate flag, having it removed from even Civil War museums and historical sites. That's absurd. Redacting our own history to protect who? Statues are being taken down and text destroyed because the records they speak of detail an imperialist conquest that was part of building the world as we know it today. Out of sight, out of mind, move on. Nothing to see here, nothing to learn here. Opinions aside, let's say you have a statue of, and I'm going to invoke Godwin's law here, let's say you have a statue of Adolf Hitler, or an Adolf Hitler museum. Clearly someone is going to get uppity about it. Good. Mistakes were made, people were murdered. Mistakes were made and people died. We need a memorial. We need to look back on what caused the largest problems of our history to keep vigil against its repetition. Say you hate imperialism, and all imperialist memorials, statues, and museums must burn. Guess what? Now nobody gets to learn about it. Nobody else gets to decide what went right and wrong in order to guide their future choices. Because you thought it was wrong and had to be removed. You are removing education. You are stopping people from asking who that statue was, what they did, how they might have failed, and why we are to remember them. When it comes to the law, they say ignorance is no excuse. They write more and more law each day, and unless you make it your business to keep up, ignorance of the law is inevitable. History is no different. Only removing iconic record of history promotes an ignorance and subversion of history. It is an educational irresponsibility. I'm not necessarily talking about schooling in this manner. I'm talking about human culture. Let's say you're visiting another state. You are going to learn a thing or two about the state by its landmarks and historical sites. It will give you material to converse with the local people over. Asking and learning about this building, or this statue, or that flag you saw on Main Street. You deafen inquisitive minds by removing these things. Maybe that's the goal. Make certain nobody knows what a train track looks like. Make sure nobody knows what a steam engine sounds like, and certainly don't let them know about the big bright light on the front of it. Just do everything you can to let them get hit by that train, because you wouldn't want the thought of being careful around a set path of danger to trigger somebody. Warning them not to go down a path that causes a lot of pain and suffering as a people might make them duty their huggies, and they'll get embarrassed and suffer from the PTSD of words and events they are unwilling to acknowledge exist. We are either adults, or we are growing to be adults, and nobody should have to be shielded from the past. Disarming awareness, disarming growth and maturity for the sake of feels, for the sake of some social inequality tirade of the current year. How coddled must a generation be? Bullying is a healthy reality that promotes a healthy learning experience. Cry bullying is a very unhealthy reality, and it promotes learning only how to get a third party to do your bidding. It promotes and educates a person to be dependent. I'm not talking about interdependency. I'm not talking about the two-sided exchange of rapport and trust amongst peers. It educates someone on the dependency of government, of an authoritative individual, a mediator, a judge, an attorney, in this case a teacher or campus security. It does not teach someone personal advocacy. It robs them of it. It is, again, educationally irresponsible. Be responsible, and expect and promote responsibility in others, to include facing a full history, not a cherry-picked history, tuned to a 37-year-old child's personal sensitivities. Maybe we need to bring back child labor. Teach kids to earn something more than victim badges in their Girl Scout band of segregative middle school politics. Did I say middle school? I meant state university. I no longer say college kids, by the way. When I was going through primary school, a college kid was one of those persons who had finished high school and entered college before age 18. A college kid was a promising and mature individual that strived in meritocracy. A college student was an adult. Now there are college children, and it is anything but a statement of merit. College children want to turn the world and its history into a personal safe space free of dissension or the mention of trauma, unless it is to garner them cookies and kudos and attention. And these people are breeding. I'm off topic. If you are listening, you probably don't have an issue with statues and flags, or you would have rage quit the video the first time I said America, because it hurts. I am going to put a call to action in this one. Don't hide from the past. And if you see the past being destroyed, whether it's a flag that gets banned, like the Galveston flag, don't tread on me, or some building or structure being razed for anything other than the purpose of building something usable in its place, sound off. Raise hell. Raise awareness. These things are only happening because they are not being met with resistance. Even a small amount of fervid advocacy for an unfiltered record of the past keeps the door open for people being born today to learn of it later.